Hi, my name is Matthew Bellisario. Welcome to another edition of the Bellisario Sonic YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about jazz music for those who are not very familiar with jazz. And so what I've done today is I've picked 5 what I feel to be accessible jazz artists that you can start your collection with. And so what I've done is I've picked a guitar player, I've picked a drummer, I picked a strictly keyboard or organ player, a sax player, and then a piano keyboard player. And I think that these 5 guys are very accessible when it comes to jazz. And I picked several albums that I thought would be the best ones to begin with. So from my background, I grew up listening to a lot of rock music. So I listened to a lot of rock music, heavy metal, blues, and I got into jazz probably, I would say, like in my mid-20s, upper 20s, before I really got into jazz and started listening to it. And so just slowly there's so many different types of jazz music that it's kind of daunting for somebody that doesn't know that much. Luckily, I had been around a lot of musicians and was playing in a lot of bands, and so there's a lot of names going around, and I was able to just start listening to all kinds of different jazz, and I got into a lot of different types of jazz very quickly. But I noticed that I gravitated towards certain types of jazz quicker. I was able to latch on quicker to certain types of jazz than others that were more avant-garde or more fusion type things like that. I was able to get into more of the bebop type swing stuff, and so the 5 artists I'm going to present to you today are kind of more in the bebop or traditional jazz, not really like Dixieland jazz. I won't be really recommending any of that, even though I really enjoy it. But these are kind of more of the jazz music that was popular in the 50s and in the 60s, the late 50s, mid 50s, all the way up until the early 60s. And then there's some modern recordings as well. But I feel that these particular albums here and these artists are probably the most accessible for people that have never really listened to a lot of jazz. And so I'm going to start off with the first musician. Since I'm a guitar player, one of my favorite guitar players is Grant Green. And so the first album that I'm going to recommend for you to pick up is called Grant's First Stand. And this is a really good album. And this was recorded in 1961. And you're going to get here a trio. So a very simple trio. You're going to have, of course, Grant Green on guitar, Babyface Willette, great organ player, and then you're going to have Ben Dixon on drums. So just a nice trio album, and this is just a really nice, pretty laid-back record. So that's the first one I'm going to recommend on the Grant Green. The next one that I'm going to recommend, also recorded in 1961, is called Grant Green and Green Street. So I really like this album for a number of reasons. First of all, it's also a trio. You've got Ben Tucker playing on bass, and you've got Dave Bailey on drums, and you've got some really nice songs like Roundabout Midnight on here, and a couple of different versions of Alone Together. So again, a pretty laid back album. You got a trio here. So 2 trio albums on the Grant Green. The next Grant Green album that I'm going to recommend is called Solid, another great album. This right here will take you into a little bit of a different type of sound, since you've got more players on this particular record. So you've got Joe Henderson, one of the great tenor sax players on this, James Spaulding on alto sax. You've got the great McCoy Tyner on piano, Bob Crenshaw on bass, and the great Elvin Jones on drums. And this is a really cool record. So a bit of a different sound than the first 2 I'm recommending. And This one here was recorded in 1964, so it's a little bit later. The next one on Grant Green is called Street of Dreams. I think this is another 64 record, 1964 recorded. And this is a quartet. So again, a little bit of a different sound here. But you've got Bobby Hutcherson on vibes. And you've got Larry Young, a great organ player. And you got Elvin Jones again on drums. So again, a little bit of a different sound here. But a really nice sounding record and something very accessible that you can put on and listen to. So that is Street of Dreams. And then finally, I picked a live record that I think is really good. And these are recordings on Resonance Records that were unreleased recordings from Paris, live recordings. And it's a 2 CD set. And this has, these are basically recorded in 1969 and 1970 in Paris. And you're going to have here, Grant playing with some different artists. Larry Ridley on bass, Don Lamond on drums on the 69 recording. And then you've got him playing with a tenor saxophone player, Claude Bartet, and an organ player, Clarence Palmer, and Billy Williams on drums for the 1970 recording. So a nice sounding record. And if you like live music, this is a nice sounding record. So those are my 5 picks for Grant Green, who's one of the great jazz guitar players. I would consider him up there, with Wes Montgomery and Barney Kessel and Herb Ellis, all these big jazz giants. He's definitely one of them. So a good place to start, but yet I feel he's very accessible, very easy to listen to. Now I'm going with one of my favorite drummers, and that's Art Blakey, who, if you don't know, he's played with the Jazz Messengers. He played with the Jazz Messengers for many years. Of course, he's long gone now, but this particular record here that I'm going to recommend first is one of my favorite records. I listen to this all the time. I have it on my regular rotation, recorded in 1964. It's called Indestructible. This is probably my favorite Blakey album. I just love this record. He's got some great players. One thing you'll find with Art, he's always playing with the top of the line players. So on this, you're going to get a treat, because you're going to hear Lee Morgan playing trumpet. You're going to have Chris Fuller on trombone, the great Wayne Shorter on tenor sax, Cedar Walton on piano, Reggie Workman on bass, and of course the great Art Blakey on drums. And some of I love like the first 3 songs on here, The Egyptian, Sortie. Mr. Gin is a great song. It's a Long Way Down, which is not part of the original LP, but on this particular version here, there's the extra track on there, so I would recommend getting that this version here, even though some people don't like the Rudy Van Gelder reissue. The sound on them, I don't find them to be that bad. The Blue Note 75th anniversary release on vinyl, I wasn't very impressed with. However, all the subsequent releases, the Tone Poet in the 80th anniversary and the classic series that have been coming out now, they're all fantastic. The 75th anniversary ones that came out weren't that great on vinyl. As far as the CD goes, it's a personal preference what you like. This one does have the extra bonus track on it. If you get the older versions, it won't have that on there. So, but this is one of my favorite records by Art Blakey, and that's called Indestructible, and he is just smoking on this record. It's just fantastic. Now, what's probably considered one of the most popular albums by Art Blakey is Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers' Moanin'. And this is a great album too. I really love listening to this. And again, you're going to have a great lineup on here. You're going to have Lee Morgan on trumpet, Benny Golson on tenor sax, Bobby Timmons on piano, Jaime Merritt on bass, and Art Blakey, of course, on drums. And you got some great songs on here. Moanin', Alternate Take of Moanin', a Blues March, Are You Real, Come Rain, Come Shine. So really great record. You can't go wrong with either one of these 2 albums. And this one was recorded in 1958, so it's an earlier release than the previous one. Another one that I really like And I have the Blue Note XRCD on this particular version. It's called Art Blakey, the Big Beat. And this is a fantastic record too. It's really hard to pick between all these three. This was recorded in 1960. And again, Art's always playing with the greatest guys that you can find. So you've got here, again, the great Lee Morgan on trumpet. You've got the great Wayne Shorter on tenor sax, Bobby Timmons on piano, and Jaime Merritt on bass. So again, these three records are going to give you access to more than just a great drummer. So I really enjoyed that, the Big Beat. Another one of his greats is called Art Blakey, Free For All. And this one's recorded in 1964. And again, another fantastic album. And on this one, you're going to get a treat because Freddie Hubbard, the great trumpet player, is playing on this particular record, along with Wayne Shorter, Curtis Fuller on trombone, Cedar Walton on piano, Reggie Workman on bass. And the title song, Free For All, is just awesome. But again, another solid album. And then finally, this album here, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, A Night in Tunisia, recorded in 1960, is just another great album. And again, you're going to get Lee Morgan on this one. You're going to get Wayne Shorter, Bobby Timmons, and Jaime Merritt on this. And At Night in Tunisia, fantastic. So Tired, Coco's Waltz, Sincerely Diana. This is just a really nice, again, all five of these Blakey records are just really good records and easy to listen to, in my opinion. Now, moving over to one of the greatest and probably most influential organ players of all time, even influencing people in other genres of music, and that's the great Jimmy Smith. Now, I kind of cheated on this one. I didn't really just pick 5 of his records because you can pick up 5 packs of his records. So I'm gonna show you this 5-pack here, which you can get easily online, and they come in like the little record album sleeves. So they come in the little record note, you know, in the album sleeves, mini album sleeves, and all these records are really good. So what I like about these records is he's playing again with a lot of different great players. So when you pick up this 5-pack, and you can get it for, I found them for like $15. You can probably get them for $20 or less. There's 2 different versions. They're called 5 original albums, and you've got a total of 10 records you can get for like $40. But you're gonna get, the cool thing about it is you're gonna hear people like Stanley Turrentine on tenor sax. You're gonna hear Kenny Burrell, one of the great guitar players. Donald Bailey on drums. You're gonna hear Quentin Warren, another great guitar player that played on a few of his albums. So, and as I mentioned, Kenny Burrell's one of the greatest jazz guitar players as well. He's on a lot of his records. So I would recommend picking up both of these 5-packs. And then this one is the other one. So you're going to get 5. And, you know, the little mini album packs. And again, you're going to get just a lot of good players. Lou Donaldson plays on some of these. Tina Brooks, tenor sax, he plays on some of these. Art Blakey is playing drums on one of these. So you're going to get just a great variety of good jazz music. And Jimmy Smith plays a lot of different types of jazz, including a lot of covers of other artists. So I would recommend, if you're going to start off with Jimmy Smith, these are a great place to start. As far as my favorite records on these particular ones, I love Crazy Baby. I love Back at the Chicken Shack, Home Cooking. House Party is probably one of my favorites. It's on this set. So either one, you can't go wrong. And then I picked out, there's 2 other ones. Prayer Meeting is another one that was released that's really good. I don't have that one on CD. I have it on vinyl. And then this one here is called Rockin' the Boat. I really like this record CD too. So this has Quentin Warren playing on it as well, guitar. Lou Donaldson's on the alto sax, Donald Bailey on drums, and John Patton plays a tambourine on a couple of songs on this. So this is another one worth getting. So there's my Jimmy Smith picks. When it comes to saxophone, it was tough because there's so many different sax players, and it was hard to pick. But I think that guys like Coltrane, who I love, and are very popular, probably aren't as accessible as some others. And I find that when I go back and listen to different sax players, one guy sticks out that I think is pretty accessible, is a great sax player, is very underrated, and that's Art Pepper. And this album here is the one I would recommend starting out with. This is just a really great record. This is in my rotation all the time. I really dig this record. It's got Russ Freeman on piano, Ben Tucker on bass, and Gary Farmer on drums. And Farmer's a great drummer. But this whole record's really good, and it's put out, I think, on his own label, Omnivore, I think, Records. And I think that they're released and now by his wife. He passed away some years ago. But his playing is fantastic, and it's just a really fun record to listen to. So for jazz enthusiasts, for people that love great sax playing, Art Pepper is just fantastic. So that's the first one I would recommend. The next one of the Art Pepper ones I would recommend would be called Art Pepper Meets the Rhythm Section. And this is what that one looks like. And again, another really well done record. You got Red Garland on piano on this one, great piano player. You've got Paul Chambers on bass, one of the greatest bass players, and then Philly Joe Jones on drums. And again, you can't go wrong with anything on this album. There's so many good songs on here, and a great listen all the way through. It was recorded in 1957. So again, this is a good one, a good place to start. You could put this album on, and it's another one that I listen to quite often, and even have both of these on vinyl as well. Another one that I think is pretty good is called Winter Moon. And so this one here was recorded, I think, in 1981, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a little bit of a later recording, but I like this album. It's pretty laid back, and he's playing on here with Stanley Cowell on piano, Howard Roberts on guitar, Cedar McBee on bass, Carl Burnett on drums. And again, he doesn't play with any slouches. He always plays with really good musicians. So that's another one that I really like. And then I recommend 2 live records. This is one that just came out on Elemental Records a few years back, 2015. But it was recorded in 1981 at Fat Tuesdays, and he's got a piano player, a bass player, and a drummer playing with him on this one. But really nice sounding live record. So if you're into live music, I recommend this one here, Art Pepper live at Fat Tuesdays. And then finally, the last live record, and I really love this record as well. It's called Art Pepper, Ronnie Scott's London. Transferred from the original analog tapes, 24-bit, 1980 recording session. And on this one, you're going to get 4 CDs. So a lot of music to listen to here. If you're going to go for one of the live records, and you want to get a lot of music, this is just a good one to go with. So 4 discs here packaged along with a booklet. And so you're going to have, some pictures and the story of the live sessions and all that kind of stuff. So those are my picks for Art Pepper one of the great sax players in jazz. I would say probably one of the most underrated, and very few people really talk about him. But I think he was just one of the great jazz players and a great sax player, and one of those guys that just isn't talked about very much, unfortunately. But who I feel is probably one of the most accessible to listen to. All right, now my final artist that I'm going to pick for you is Chick Corea, who unfortunately just passed away here recently. But I love him. He plays so many different types of music. It's hard to even delve into just his catalog because it's so vast, and he's got so many different people he's playing with, and different types of jazz music, and he plays even classical music and pop music, and the guy was just brilliant in my opinion. Probably as far as modern jazz goes, and just a great lover of music and promoter of music. He's very unique. So the albums here that I'm going to recommend first are the 2 trilogy records, and these are newer albums that were recorded. And this is with Chick Corea, Christian McBride on bass, and Brian Blade on drums. This is the first one here. I'm sorry, the second one. Trilogy 2, I'm holding the wrong one up. This is the second one, and this is the first one. You can't go wrong with either one. The first one is 3 discs. Second one is 2 discs, okay? So you have a trio setting here, which is nice. This is the 3-disc first trilogy. And it's a fantastic sounding record. And it's, to me, very accessible to listen to. You have a wide variety of jazz on here. But they stick to, a lot of accessible songs here. Like My Foolish Heart, You're My Everything, Spain, How Deep Is the Ocean. So you're not going to get any better modern record to listen to in jazz as far as like a jazz trio goes than here. I mean, there's a lot of good ones, but this is one to pick up here. And then I would pick up this one as well, which is the second one. And again, you've got a lot of great songs on here, including Now He Sings, Now He Sobs, one of the from his classic era. So and this is, as I said, it's 2 discs. So that's where I would start. I know it's it's really hard to pick where to start with Chick, because again, the catalog, his catalog is just immense. And it's one thing to delve into the realm of jazz in itself, because it's so huge, but just when you get to his catalog, it's hard to pick. So again, for me, I would pick these 2 to start off with. That's just my personal opinion. But I'm going to show you some other ones here that I think are worth getting, and that should be at the top of the list. And one of the ones, if you want to get a well-rounded overview of Chick, this Chick Corea the Musician 3 CD is also a good place to start. And this is recorded for his birthday, I think. And so you've got a lot of different configurations here of musicians. You're going to have a Return to Forever on here, unplugged, part of an unplugged session. Chick Corea trio with Gary Peacock and Brian Blade. You've got the 5-piece band on here. You've got some duets on here. You've got him playing with Gary Burton on here. From Miles, from Flamenco Heart. Got him playing with Marcus Roberts as a duet. Herbie Hancock, a duet on here, 3 songs. And then the Chick Corea Electric Band, 2 songs. So you get a wide variety here. I don't know if you can see that with the reflection there, so I apologize. But you get a wide variety on here of Chick and who he's playing with. So I do recommend this. This is a great listen. Next, this is probably my favorite, one of my favorite live albums by him. And this is the Return to Forever Returns. And I just love this record. And if you're more of a rock person, I think this will probably appeal a little more to you because you've got the great Al Di Meola playing on this one, and he's a great guitar player. And so this right here, the whole CD, which I think was recorded in 2008, you're going to get just a great live performance. And you can also get this on Blu-ray, and I would recommend if you're a live concert person that loves to watch live concerts, the Blu-ray of this is one of my favorites. I watch it a lot. I really enjoy this. And so, yeah, this is a good one to get. You got Stanley Clarke playing bass, Al Di Meola on guitar, Lenny White on drums, and then, of course, Chick playing. So, I would recommend picking this one up. Return to Forever Returns. And then finally, last but not least, Corea Clark in white, called Forever. And this is just another fantastic record. You've got a lot of cool people playing on here, including Lenny White, Jean-Luc Ponty on violin, and it's just you have a great sounding record here, and it's fun to listen to, and you get a nice booklet with it as well. So I would recommend this one as well. So Corea Clark in white, Forever. It is a double CD. And a lot of great songs like on Green Dolphin Street, Captain Marvel, Waltz for Debbie, No Mystery, Senior Mouse. So, yeah, I recommend picking this one up. So those are my 5 picks for Chick Corea. So just to recap, the Grant Green records, I pointed out Grant Green's a great place to start. Art Blakey, great place to start. The great Jimmy Smith, organ player, great place to start. Art Pepper, great sax player. And then, of course, Chick Corea. Those are my 5 artists that I recommend. And those are the albums that I think are the most accessible for those who are not familiar with jazz, that want to start picking up CDs or start collecting, building your collection. I think that the albums I presented to you are a good place to start collecting jazz and enjoying jazz music. So, all right, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.